think so. I can be in another exhibition. When I move, you move. It's quite of a nice feeling to be dependent one to each other, no? And we depend on your movement, you depend on my movement, we depend on the movement of the water, and then somehow I think so it entangles us in a very simple way. Hopefully, you know, it breaks these boundaries of the idea that we are not participating in the world, right? It's really, I hope so that this exhibition or the space is giving us back something that it seems we were always not wanting to become responsible, right? And responsible, you can split it in two, is able to respond to something. No, responsibility is the ability to respond to something, but have a responsibility on becoming able and become responsible of what we could, what we are doing, and you know, on the planet, you know, the catastrophic moments that recognizing that certain waves of living are not anymore really responsible, and then they have to learn other abilities to respond differently. Years ago we were fishes somehow, and from the water we moved to land to a certain extent. And then this is a type of spider which is called Agrionecta aquatica, who have decided maybe to still have this kind of both relationship to live a little bit in the water and or under the water, in a bubble of air. She kind of keep nourishing by bringing some fresh air all the time, goes to the surface of the pond, and then keep feeding this bubble of air. When she enters inside and she breathes inside the bubble of air, it's not like a fish who have branchies and who could live breathe underwater. And you know, so when you see these spider webs during early in the morning when there is a lot of humidity in the air, it forms, or when it rains, there's a lot of drops of water entangled in the spider webs, right? But in this case, it's opposite. It's like a bubble, not of water, but a bubble of air under the water. And I mean, you could think about, you know, this mixing of mediums, a relationship of possibility of habitation. Yeah, I work with a lot of scientists and with a lot of people who have certain knowledge, but it's one part of, right? I think so it's very important also to recognize that it's part of history, you know what I mean? And each discipline somehow have a certain specific knowledge, and it seems that that somehow we have prioritized a certain form of knowledge above other form of knowledge. And I think so what is very important now is like to understand that science have a knowledge, but many other disciplines have other knowledges. And if we can kind of find a kind of more equilibrated relationship among all of them, then I think so we'll be much better off. Hence, I mean, how we can really like lose these comfort zones of every discipline being successful in its own, and try to kind of find new ways of collaborate with other disciplines. And when I talk about disciplines, I talk also about collaborate with a non-human. In this case, hopefully, was a fruitful collaboration for spiders and for me on participation of this exhibition. And it's, you know, it still is, when we think about is this relationship is sometimes that's really human bound, and we have to really kind of dissolve that way of being in the world, and then try to find a way that we could be together differently, but in much more equal terms. We're pretty ignorant yet on hearing what the water is telling us, what the spiders are talking, and what the dogs are saying, and the cats and the birds. I think so until we don't sometimes really dedicate a bit more time on hearing other voices, all our conversation are still a lot based on what we understand and what we can express. And maybe there are many other humans who believe that, like in Cameroon, like in Brazil, and in Argentina, as we said before, they have a different relationship with the forest, with the animals, with the plants. In Brazil, there's a political system that it's burning forest. We are living in something which is called zoonosis, which is kind of a spillover of certain, moving certain form of life, certain animals to the edge of their environment, and then this animal jump into another animal, which might be some of us. And it's really kind of there is Natasha Mayer, who talked a lot about a term which is called the Planthropocene, instead of the Anthropocene, which is a kind of you could say, or Marisol de la Cadena, when she talked about the Anthropo not seen. It seems that all these humans that somehow it seems do not play a role into humanity as we understand it today, right? Which are the ones who actually hold a very important knowledge on relating with the plants, with the forests, with the animals, very different than some patriarchal capital system that science also participates very much into this power relationship. And it's really like how we can, their knowledge is there, but somehow we are not able to still to see it. The relationship of how we produce knowledge and how knowledge is shared, and we think about these webs of connection and how internet keep promoting fake news and false information and are disrupting governments and extracting privacy and data at the mercy of the majority and for the privilege of the few. I think so, the phobias that we have with the spiders, which is so-called arachnophobia, is completely unfounded. There's no reason. Spiders, I think so, and their webs are the more inoffensive animals on planet today, but somehow we're still afraid of them.